with coverage you can count on. This is the Erie News Nowcast.
Hey, good morning on this Monday. I'm Mark Solway. Thanks for joining us here for a quick check of some of the stories we're following at Erie News Now. Beginning with President Biden. He is over in Scotland today, prepared to tell the United Nations Climate Summit in Glasgow that the U.S. has a strategy to reach its climate goals, even though the president's had trouble getting his measures passed by fellow Democrats in Congress right here at home. The president's expected to release a detailed long-term plan to show how the U.S. can cut carbon emissions in half by the year 2030 and achieve net zero emissions by 2050. He says the U.S. would be able to meet its climate goals, even though a key measure was cut from his sweeping spending package of climate incentives, social safety net programs. And again, that conference going on over in Glasgow, Scotland is called COP26. The whole event's expected to last for 2 more weeks. Mr. Biden is scheduled to be in Glasgow for the next 2 days. And over the next month, the U.S. Supreme Court is going to hear a series of cases that could eventually change abortion law here in the United States. The Supreme Court set to begin hearing arguments on the Texas abortion law, which has all but stopped abortions down in Texas for the past couple of months. The law bans abortions after about 6 weeks of pregnancy. Now, the justices are expected to decide whether the Biden administration and abortion providers can challenge that law. Halloween weekend was pretty scary if you were going to fly. American Airlines that's what a lot of these folks stuck at the airport were doing, trying to get on an American Airlines flight. They were lined up at kiosks, waiting by their phones for answers from American, the largest airline carrier in America. Canceled hundreds of flights on Sunday. That's after canceling some 1,800 in all since Friday. American's blaming staffing shortages and weather. Dallas-Fort Worth International had to be shut down briefly. This cancellation crisis, though, for American Airlines, pretty similar to a meltdown that Southwest Airlines ran into some 3 weeks ago. Now, American says about 1,800 flight attendants are coming back from leave soon, and they expect to hire some 600 more by the end of this year. Well, in a matter of days, kids ages 5 to 11 could be eligible to roll up their sleeves for that COVID vaccine. That's the authorization process for Pfizer's brand of that vaccine for that age group rolls along this morning. The go-ahead for Pfizer's COVID-19 shot for kids ages 5 to 11 could happen a little later on this week. They already got that emergency use authorization recommendation from the FDA's Vaccine Advisory Committee, the official EUA from the FDA, and the CDC's vaccine advisors. They are set to meet on all of it tomorrow, with the CDC's director expected to then officially recommend it. And those kids, again, ages 5 through 11, could start getting those COVID-19 vaccines as soon as this coming Wednesday.
The day I arrived in Santa Fe to start shooting, I took her to dinner with Joel, the director. We were a very, very, well-oiled crew shooting a film together, and then this horrible event happened.
Yeah, we're hearing for the first time from actor Alec Baldwin calling that fatal shooting on the set of that movie Rust a, quote, 1 in a trillion episode. The actor and producer was talking to paparazzi in Vermont over the weekend. Of course, that cinematographer Helena Hutchins, the movie's director Joel Souza, were hit by that gunfire when a weapon fired by Baldwin apparently had a live round in it. While he says he is not allowed to comment on that ongoing investigation, Baldwin says he is in touch with law enforcement every day. Well, there's a Pennsylvania State Police motorcade expected to escort the body of a state trooper who died of COVID-19. They're going to escort him to today's funeral service. The body of that 57-year-old trooper, Marty Martinez, being returned to our area from eastern Pennsylvania. He's going to be buried at the Hope Cemetery in Cranesville. Martinez's wife is from that part of western Erie County. That State Police motorcade is expected to head from the Erie Airport to the cemetery for that private service. Martinez was a 21-year veteran of the state police force. Now, according to the National Fraternal Order of Police's website, COVID-19 is now the #1 killer of police officers across America, with more than 770 deaths reported by that website since the pandemic started. Well, here in Erie, firefighters got an early start to their day, taking on a house fire on the city's west side. The first calls for this one came in a little before 5 a.m. A fire in a home in the 1600 block of Hickory Street in Erie. Early word from the scene is that this house is empty, or at least it was supposed to be. The heat from the flames caused some damage to neighboring buildings. No reports of any injuries, and they're still working to figure out exactly how this early morning fire got its start. And word is they're going to be demolishing what's left of this vacant Hickory Street home a little later on today. And just one day left till voters head to the polls all across Pennsylvania, with turnout in this non-presidential, non-midterm election expected to be relatively low. This morning, Erie News Now's Elena Jonathan explains why this election, though, may be even more important than those others.
Does this candidate line up with you on their beliefs on taxes, right? Do they have the background to do the job?
That's what history professor Jeffrey Bloodworth from Gannon University says to consider when picking a candidate on Tuesday. He says it's more important now than in any other election to get out and cast your vote.
It's about 2/3 of registered voters turn out for presidential races. And then you get to like a governor's race, a regular midterm, it goes down to 45%. And then for local races, it's down to 29%.
He says the number of voters who come out isn't high enough, but here in Erie County, we rank higher in terms of voter turnout for local elections.
29% is just, man, it's anemic.
Bloodworth explains getting out to vote on Tuesday is crucial if you want to see actual change in your community.
I would push people to look at the issues, right? Rather than, I like the cut of the jib of that candidate.
Elena Jonathan reporting there. Of course, Erie News Now will have election coverage all day long. It really kicks in once the polls close at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. We'll be live at some of those polling places, live with the candidates, and get live analysis from all the political experts. Again, it's that election coverage you can count on all Tuesday long on Erie News Now and online at erienewsnow.com. Starting to see some sunshine, David, to kick off this new week and new month.
Yeah, we're trying to break open some sunlight. We may not see too much of it over the next couple of days. 49 degrees with our Oliver's rooftop cam. And yeah, it looks pretty cool out there, as you do have a mix of clouds and some sunshine. 49 degrees. It's certainly cool out there, but it's always nice to see a little bit of that sunlight. Doppler max right now, we're just seeing some of those clouds come in off of the lake, not expecting anything more than maybe just a sprinkle or two. Futurecast for us today, you can see that we will continue to see some of those partly sunny skies across the area, some thicker clouds a bit later in the day, maybe an isolated shower towards the evening hours, but we get more of that westerly flow, some chillier air coming in, and yes, lake effect rain showers as we dig deeper into your Monday night. And then on Tuesday, possibly a couple of areas of snow showers, some wet snowflakes blending in for areas east and even the southeast of Interstate 90. You'll notice again, we're continuing to keep some of those areas a little bit bluer than the green out there towards Jamestown, also into Clymer, Corey, as well as Cambridge Springs. Could have some incredibly light accumulations as we get into the day on a Wednesday. We're just talking about maybe a dusting, just enough to notice it on some of those grassy surfaces and maybe on the windshield. This is not going to accumulate on roadways. Right now, we are expecting temperatures to head up just a little bit more. Right now, we are definitely in the chill as we start off a brand new month. 42 pretty popular from Titusville to Oil City, Bradford, Jamestown, New York as well. We're at 49 here in Erie. And if you thought it was a very, very warm October, it was. Unofficially, the second warmest October on record. Number one was back in 1947. Our normal temperature for the entire month, and that includes high temperatures and low temperatures, is 54.3 degrees. So yeah, we were actually 7 degrees above that, so we'll change that minus sign into a plus sign. That's just how warm it was this month. And for today, we're certainly feeling the chill in the air. Temperatures just around about 50 degrees. Crawford County, we're dealing with those temperatures into the upper 40s, right around that 50-degree mark, and we're nice and warm out there into, or nice and cool, I should really say, out there into Warren County. Got the warm weather still on the brain, but temperatures today will be in the upper 40s with some sunlight. We'll talk more about that more active, extended outlook in just a moment.
Those kids might need that cool weather to hit them in the face to wake them up on this Monday morning, because yeah, that had to be a struggle for a lot of moms and dads today after the kids were out collecting candy last night. Yeah, it was a somewhat muted celebration back in 2020, and boy, last night trick-or-treaters were really out in full force. Erie News Now's cameras were down in Frontier Park. Yeah, in that neighborhood, certainly, as creatures, you could say, of all kinds went out knocking on doors, searching for candy. Yeah, lots of witches and little ghosts out there last night. Now, of course, last year the city had encouraged folks to just stay home due to COVID-19. But yeah, the costumes and the kids were back out as the celebrations really resumed this year. We were at the home of Kate and Brian Stark. They were handing out candy and popcorn like they do every year in their front yard setup. Typically, they say they go through about 700 bags of popcorn in a pre-pandemic year. They actually needed more to satisfy all the kids that came by their house last night. Yeah, so Halloween is back in a big time way. And I know, David, we've been kind of sneaking little bits of candy from the station bag back in the newsroom.
Yeah, I haven't been sneaking, though. I've just been going straight in. Right. Let everyone know that, hey, it's the day after Halloween, so all the leftover candy's out, and you can probably get it on a discount at some of our area stores. All right, for the next couple of days, we got 50 degrees for today. We're unseasonably chilly throughout much of the week. As a matter of fact, yeah, we'll take those 40s all the way through your Friday. You'll notice, again, we will watch for some of those wet inland flakes. I know folks are out voting tomorrow, but we'll have these showers kind of passing on by, so still don't use the weather as an excuse to not do your duty as an American citizen. By Wednesday, 44 degrees, still hanging on to some of those inland flakes, maybe some incredibly light accumulations. And then by Thursday, things are dwindling in terms of the precipitation. We dry things out for the weekend. And you see that clock there? You know what that means? We are falling back before 2 a.m. a Sunday morning. So yeah, you get a little bit extra morning light, but you know the sun's going to be setting right around about 5 o'clock or so.
Yeah, that is the give and take of pushing that clock back. All right, thank you, David. Thank everybody for watching on here on Facebook Live. Of course, we do the NOWCAST every morning about the same time, so we'll see you again tomorrow. Also see you on air at 5 a.m. That election day coverage starts with Erie News Now Sunrise. We'll see you then.